This is Redfall. We're doing a comparison. On the left, we have Xbox Series X. On the right, we have Xbox Series S. Be sure to like the video. Subscribing is great as well, since these videos are a lot of work to put together. So we've got a bunch of different segments here, kind of lining them up to the best of my ability, keeping in mind that weathering, lighting, and everything like that in the open world was a bit of a pain. So it does look a little bit more, I guess you would say, vibrant on the Series X side in terms of lighting, because... well, actually, I did have the shadows a little bit closer, kind of matching, but at the same time, that sort of was a bit of a problem because the world itself is also dynamic too, not just the weathering. There are random kind of events and, like, you know, sort of situations that pop up in the open world, such as, like, these weird mists of red or these different combative scenarios. And while I did have one that was a little bit more lined up in terms of, like, the lighting and stuff, it was just absolutely ruined, and it was a pain. Anyways, so what are we getting here? Well, it's 30 FPS for both versions at the current point in time, but a 60 FPS mode is supposed to be on the way. So that's thrilling. So the Series X is a full 4K. I guess it's a full native 4K. And then the Series S, which is, again, on the right-hand side there, is supposed to be 1440p. But from what I understand, there's some sort of, like, dynamic thing, and it's more like... I don't know, like 1080 it's supposed to be. At least, you know, that's what I've kind of gotten details-wise. So, yeah, I think the biggest thing here is when you're taking a look at the game, obviously there is lots of pop-in and low rendering and stuff on both sides. It does seem like the Series S has a bit more, like, blotchier kind of, like, trees and stuff, and some of the actual visual fidelity of, like, the textures and everything like that is a little bit lower in some situations, or it takes like an extra second to load and or kind of get set up in that regard. So yeah, it was really just trying to, you know, give you a comparison so you can kind of see how it looks between the two versions of the game. I thoroughly did not enjoy playing Redfall, so I'm kind of glad to be wrapping it up with this particular sort of back and forth comparison here. Regardless to say, whatever that I was going for, it is sort of interesting that it is, like, you know, the full-scale world, and the world itself does have some interesting buildings and designs and stuff, and there's just not a whole lot to do in it. But yeah, the biggest things for me really are the Series S version, just kind of like, again, it taking extra time for certain things to load, and it seems like the fullness of the world takes a little bit more to realize as you're going through it. But at the same time, you know, it's not all that bad, all things considered. They're very close together, you know, in terms of just the differences between the two Xbox Series platforms here. It is kind of interesting. But yeah, I mean, the world itself is just kind of, I don't know, not too intriguing. And there really is actually, like, a host of bugs on both sides, and, you know, issues in regards to the way the world renders on both sides. So it was a little harder for me to really get the comparison going, because it is sort of like, oh, you know, this item doesn't load well on this side, and then this item doesn't load well on that side, and it's kind of like usually just the Series X is sort of just a scale down to the Series S, whereas in this situation it does sort of seem a little bit more random just due to all of the problems that have arose in this particular game, and I'm sure they will do something with this down the road. I don't know. They're doing whatever they're doing with Redfall, but I'm kind of happy just to be sort of wrapped up with it. But yeah, again, a little bit more sort of better geometry sort of load in and rendering and quality and everything like that on the Series X side of things. You know, it does seem to have a bit of a more realized sort of backdrop, you know, in regards to the draw distance, a little less blobby, a little quicker on some things, but overall it's kind of strangely similar in being a bad game. So there's the rest of this with no commentary gameplay. Again, liking the video is great, subscribing is great as well, and good luck out there if you're jumping into Redfall.
Chicken shit. There's something over there.
Mira, safe house.
I see.
Daylight's gone. Watch your six.
Something to play with?